Hello, welcome to my Musume training guide. 4 years ago, I made UMA guides for the JP server, including completing a rice shower career with all level 1 support cards on launch, and now I'm back here to teach you everything I've learned playing on the JP server. So this is my guide on the basics of career training and the important events that you should be planning around to end up with easy wins. This is the follow-up to my last UMA guide about picking legacies and support cards, but since you're poggers, you've already watched that video and made a good support deck and have good legacy parents set up. Now you're ready to train and make your UMA's dreams come true. The basic training plan is to 1. Max your friendship bonds, 2. Hit stamina requirements, and 3. Pump speed after your stamina is fine. Before going over the scripted events in the career, I want to give you general tips that I feel are important for making good decisions in your run. Firstly, in year 1, aka the junior year, you should mainly be focused on leveling up your support card bonds as fast as you can. Ideally, we want all of them to be at least in the final bar of their bond gauge by the time the year 2 summer vacation appears. This will give the chance for rainbow trainings to appear, and rainbow beach days are amazing power spikes if you get lucky. If you have the option to pick between different trainings with the same number of support cards, pick the one with the training that you have the most support cards in, such as speed or stamina. Every 4 trainings on the same type will increase the facility level, essentially making every future training of that type a little more strong. An early 3-piece on speed, stamina, or wit is almost always an instant take by me. And obviously a 4 or 5-piece on any training type is great for bond gains as well. The next tip is to always pick event choices that give energy, unless you're capped of course. Usually you'll have the choice between either more energy or more stats, and it's good to have more stats in your UMA, but energy can be anything. It can even be more stats. But for real, by consistently picking energy options in events, you gotta skip out on rest days and instead do more training days, which leads to your facilities leveling up, which leads to even better training, and it snowballs from there. For anyone that wants to quickly rack up career wins, I'd recommend using the training event helper that tells you what each option will give for each event. You might think that's cheesy, and I'm not saying you have to use it, but trial and error takes a lot of time, and just be warned that there's some options that are basically choosing between gaining stats and your UMA hating you forever. But if you frequently use the same support deck, you'll quickly learn which options are good anyways. So of course, the event helper is not mandatory. Next, you want to properly manage your stamina throughout the run. Not having enough stamina for long races is the #1 career ender. An okay stamina goal to have would be having 450 by the end of year 2 and at least 600 by the end of year 3. The bare minimum stamina would probably be something like 350 year 2 and 450 year 3. But even then, it probably is a little scary if you don't have any stamina skills to back you up. Anything lower than that, and it's almost impossible to win long races at that point. When your stamina is hurting really badly in your training run, it's sometimes worth passing on rainbow speeds if it means you can get some much needed stamina training in. And as a quick tip, if you're getting stamina walled by a career race as a pace chaser, the last ditch effort you can do is drop them to a late surger. Pace chasers burn through stamina faster, so it could be worth stacking your skill procs to ensure that you have enough stamina to finish the race. Next tip, don't sleep on optional G1 races. If you have no good training options for the day, but there's an available G1 that fits your UMA, you should go for it if your stats are ahead of the curve. Winning G1s provide a ton of benefits like skill points, stats, fans, unlocking race sparks, or even mood ups and debuff cures. And winning G1s is typically stronger than a non-rainbow training. However, if your UMA's been failing to get first place in story races, then you're probably not strong enough to handle those optional G1s. It'll take experience to have a good sense if your UMA is stronger than expected based on the look of your training run, but once you've done enough runs and had enough practice, you'll get the pacing and flow of the game, and you'll know when G1 wins are pretty much guaranteed. And finally, reduce your low value days. A common mistake people make is if they have no good training options but have energy to spare, they'll just do a random speed training. This burns a bunch of energy for minimal stat gains, when in reality a lot of times it's better just do a wit training or rest, and to save enough energy for a potentially great training the next day, or even the day after that as well. Don't be short-sighted on your training days, because a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Getting a really strong training option, but not being able to do it because you burned your energy on a waste of a day is a really bad feeling. So now that you all have the information rattling around inside your brains, it's time to go through a career and talk about the important scripted events that you'll encounter in your runs that you should look out for. So starting from the top. Like I mentioned before, year 1 should largely be about just leveling up your support bonds as fast as you can. Ideally, we pick trainings on speed, stamina, or even wit if we get decent supports, since it'll help in leveling our facilities for the long term. And if you see a 4-piece or 5-piece training option early game, it's really valuable to pick that up if you can. Our first major event is the Make Debut race. The first thing you should do is put your UMA as a front runner. This may seem odd since they might not have an A rank in front running, but in reality, your position ranking is inconsequential for the first year. Unlike terrain or race type, where racing with a B or lower gives you heavy race penalties, your position ranking only affects your skill proc chance, and in the early game, you don't have any skills to begin with, so it doesn't matter. It's much better to put her in the front, where it reduces the chance that you'll randomly lose to being boxed in, because losing a Make Debut race costs you maybe 1.5 extra turns because you have to win another race to qualify for your career races. When you've built up a few skills, we'll put her back in her preferred position, usually around the summer vacation in the Classics year. At the end of year 1, we get our next event, the New Year's resolution. You want to always pick option 2 since it gives us 20 energy and the other choices aren't really great. To make the most of this, just make sure your energy is at 80 or lower at the end of December year 1. At the end of early March year 2, we get a scripted mood up. It's not huge, but if your mood is only good, don't go on a date right before this, since it'll just be a waste of a turn. At the end of late March, we get our first inspiration event. During these goddess statue events, we get the chance to get new skills or existing skills at a higher discount. So don't spend your skill points early, try to save them for at least after the inspiration event if you need to spend down. At the end of May, Tazna tells you that there's 2 days until the first summer training begins, and sure enough, starting in July, for 4 turns, all training facilities are maxed and rests are weaker but give a guaranteed mood up. If our support bonds are properly leveled up by now, this is the opportunity to get huge training gains. Our goal is to begin summer training with full energy and a great mood. Things don't work out and your mood isn't great, a secondary goal could instead be to begin summer training with half energy and a good mood, with the plan to rest on turn 1 for the mood increase. Just be aware that sometimes you have career races right before or during your summer vacation that could throw your plans off if you fail to plan for them. After summer vacation, starting in late October, there's a string of valuable G1 races that I recommend you look out for. If you haven't swapped your girl off of frontrunner yet, now is the time to do so, since you should have a couple of good skills by now. Like I mentioned before, winning G1s provides an array of benefits, so if you're strong enough, grabbing these G1s is a great idea. I highly recommend the Japan Cup, being a medium race that nets you over 30k fans for placing first. Starting in year 3, there are 3 events with fan requirements that if you meet them, they'll level up your ult. This is the only way to level your ult, so it's important to not sleep on your fan count. If you've been winning your career races, most of the time just winning the year 2 Japan Cup or the Arima Keenan will be enough to set your fans up for the rest of the run. Our fan goal is to begin year 3 with 70k fans. To prepare for these races, mostly just make sure your stats are okay, particularly having at least 450 stamina. Additionally, if your director level is not green yet, use the next few turns to try to increase your bond to at least green, if the trainings allow for it. It will matter later on, I'll talk about it later. With a good stamina stat and fan count, we start year 3 with back-to-back energy boosting events. Selecting the first option at the shrine nets us 30 energy, and the second option gives us stats in case our energy is capped, but the best value is taking the energy choice. At the next turn, the raffle gives us a 90% chance of getting at least 20 energy. To prepare for this, just make sure your energy isn't capped, since wasting that much energy would be sad. At the end of year 3, late January, we get our first fan check event, which levels our ult if we have 60k fans. Luckily, we did those G1 races a few turns ago, so our fan count is sitting pretty. At the end of March, we get a back-to-back event. First is the second goddess statue event. Like the first one, don't spend your skill points before it, since you might get skill discounts after it. Immediately after, we get our second fan check. We need 70k fans for our ult level, but also for the director to be at a green bond or higher. If we meet these conditions, our ult goes up another level, and we also get a free mood increase. For the next few turns, there's a couple of G1 races that you can snag if you're feeling good, but use this time to either fix your stamina or pump more speed, because at the start of July, we get our second summer training. Like the first one, try to go into this with great mood and full energy, and pray for rainbows. After summer, we have another string of G1 races that you can look for if you don't have any great training options, or you just want to boost your fan count. And finally, to close things out, at the end of early December, we get our last fan event, requiring us to have 120k fans, which at this point should come naturally from the career races and 1 or 2 extra G1 optional events. With the URA gauntlet remaining, hopefully by now you have good stamina, a ton of speed, a leveled ult, and a bunch of skills from our racing. If you do, then the URA finals should be a breeze. If not, that's okay. As you play more, you'll be better at making better training decisions, and you'll have better legacy parents to choose from, and you'll have a stronger support deck. And improving is part of the fun of this game. It's honestly the honeymoon period of the game, where you get to constantly improve and see your numbers go up, and start reaching those career victories. But that's all I got for my basic training guide. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm planning to make lots of UMA guides and content in the future, so look forward to that. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you around. And remember, there are no bad UMAs, only bad trainer sans.